I work at a coffee shop, just a small local place, nothing fancy. I'm 17, still in high school, saving up for a car. My girlfriend's name is Sam. We've been together almost a year. She's great. Her older sister, let's call her Jenna, is 24 and engaged to this guy named Mike. They've been together since college, got engaged last Christmas, wedding set for July. I've met Mike a few times. He seems decent. Quiet, works in it, always brings Jenna flowers when they come to dinner at Sam's parents' house. Anyway, it was a Thursday night shift. We were slammed. I was on register, my coworker Dave on bar. Around 7:30, this couple walks in, really touchy-feely, all over each other. Dave elbows me and goes, "Dude, they need a room. This is a coffee shop." I laugh, glance over, and my stomach drops. It's Jenna. She's locked lips with some guy I've never seen. Not Mike. Definitely not Mike. This guy is taller, darker hair, wearing a leather jacket. They're at a table in the corner, her hand on his thigh, him pulling her in for another kiss. I freeze. I don't know what to do. I just turn back to the register and try to pretend I didn't see anything. They stay for about 20 minutes. I keep my head down. Dave keeps making comments, but I just nod. When they finally leave, I breathe out. I figure that's it. I can just forget this ever happened. I grab a rag and go out to wipe down tables. The coast seems clear. I'm wiping the table they were at when the door swings open. Jenna walks back in. She must have forgotten something, her keys, her phone, I don't know. She sees me. Her face goes white, then red. She marches over. "You saw," she whispers. Her voice is shaking. "I didn't see anything," I say. "Stupid lie," she knows. "Bullshit, you were looking right at us. I saw you." I shake my head. "I was working. I didn't notice anything." She grabs my arm. Her nails dig in. "Listen to me. You tell no one, not Sam, not Mike, no one. Do you understand?" I pull away. "I won't say anything, okay? I don't want to be in the middle of this." She stares at me for a long second. Then she says, "We're not done." And she walks out. I finish my shift in a daze. When I get home, my phone is blowing up. Sam is texting me, "What's going on with you and my sister?" She's freaking out. She says, "You saw something." "What happened?" I text back, "Nothing." I don't know what she's talking about. "Sam, she's really upset. She wants to talk to you. Can you come over me? My parents won't let me leave right now. It's too late." "Sam, we can drive to you. Please just sneak out." "Me, I can't, sorry." She sends a string of crying emojis. "Then please, for me, just meet us at the park near your house." I feel sick. I'm not supposed to leave. My parents are strict about school nights, but I also know if I don't deal with this, it'll get worse. So I lie. I tell my mom I forgot my homework at a friend's house and I need to grab it. She sighs but says okay, be back in 20 minutes. I bike to the park. Sam and Jenna are already there, sitting on a bench under a streetlight. Sam looks worried. Jenna looks furious. I drop my bike and walk over. "What did you see?" Sam asks immediately. I glance at Jenna. She shakes her head just barely. "Nothing," I say. I don't know why she thinks I saw something. Jenna stands up. "You did. I saw your face. You know who I was with." I keep my mouth shut. Sam looks between us. "Jenna, what is he talking about? Who were you with?" Jenna's face crumples. She starts crying. "I made a mistake. Just one time, he's a guy from work. It meant nothing. Please, you have to understand. If Mike finds out, he'll call off the wedding. Mom and Dad will be devastated. Please, I'm begging you." Sam looks at me. "Did you see her with another guy?" I don't say anything. "Tell me," Sam says, her voice hard. I finally nod. "Yeah, I saw her making out with some guy at the coffee shop." Sam's face goes pale. She turns to Jenna. "Are you serious? You're engaged? How could you?" Jenna sobs. I know. I messed up, but he means nothing. I love Mike. I love him. Please don't tell him. Please don't tell anyone. I'll break it off with the other guy. I swear, just give me a chance." Sam looks at me. I shrug. I don't know what to say. It's not my relationship, but now I'm stuck in the middle. "We're not going to say anything," Sam says slowly. "But you need to end it today, and you need to promise me you'll never do this again." Jenna nods frantically. I promise, thank you." "Thank you both." She hugs Sam, then turns to me. "Thank you, I'm sorry I freaked out earlier." I just nod. I want to go home. I feel dirty. That was 10 days ago. I haven't told anyone else. Not my parents, not my friends. Mike came to Sunday dinner at Sam's parents' house last week. He seemed happy. Jenna acted normal. She held his hand. She laughed at his jokes. I sat across the table and barely ate. Last night Sam called me. She sounded weird. "I talked to Jenna again," she said. She said she ended things with the coworker, but I don't know. She's acting strange. She's been defensive. She told me not to bring it up again. I said, "Maybe she's just embarrassed." Sam was quiet. Then she said, "Do you think I should tell Mike?" My heart started pounding. "I don't know. That's a huge decision." "I know, but if he marries her and she does it again, he deserves to know." "It's not our place," I said, but even as I said it, I wasn't sure. We argued for an hour. She said she felt guilty. I said it would destroy the family. She said maybe it needed to be destroyed if Jenna was a liar. I said I didn't want to be the one who broke up a wedding. She said I already was by keeping the secret. I hung up frustrated. Now I'm lying in bed staring at the ceiling. I'm 17. I shouldn't be dealing with this. I just wanted to work my shift, get my paycheck, hang out with my girlfriend. Instead, I'm carrying this weight. This morning, Sam texted me. "I'm not going to say anything, but I need you to know if she does this again, I will. And if you knew and didn't tell me, I don't know. I don't know either. I thought keeping it quiet was the right thing. Now I'm not so sure. The wedding is in 2 months. Every time I see Mike, I want to tell him, but I can't. I'm just the kid who works at the coffee shop. What do I know? That's where I'm at, stuck, holding a secret that isn't mine, and I have a feeling this isn't over, not even close. But that wasn't the only secret I ended up carrying. Let me tell you about another one. This one hit closer to home. I'm a dad, 42 years old, married for 18 years. We have one son, turned 16 last spring. He's a good kid, mostly lazy with chores, spends too much time on his phone, but he's never been in real trouble until last August. My wife calls me into the kitchen one evening. She's got her phone in her hand, face all tight. "We need to talk," she says. "It's about our son. His ex-girlfriend's parents called." "She's pregnant." I almost dropped my coffee. "What? They broke up a month ago." "I know, but she's showing dates line up with when they were together." We sat there in shock. Our son was in his room, headphones on, playing some shooter game. We waited 2 days before telling him. I figured he deserved to know before we had any family meeting, so we sat him down at the dining table. My wife was crying. I tried to stay calm. "Son," I said, "we got some news. Your ex-girlfriend is pregnant." He looked up from his phone. "What? No, that's not mine. I never fucked her," my wife gasped. "Language, and don't lie to us. We know you're active. We gave you protection." He shook his head. "We never did it. I swear I cheated on her. Okay, I didn't want to, but I did. We never had sex." I didn't believe him at first. I know he's a little shit sometimes. He lies about homework, about finishing chores, but this, I looked him in the eye. He looked scared, genuinely scared. "Tell me the truth," I said. "Did you sleep with her?" "No, Dad, I rapped every time. I asked you for restocks, remember? The last box I used was with someone else. We never did anything." Just other stuff. My wife wasn't buying it. She started listing dates, times, how the girl's parents had proof. Our son just kept saying no. Finally, he blurted out, "We only ever did oral, and it was bad, so I never went further. I'm not the father." I sat back. That detail was too specific to be a lie, but my wife was furious. "You're believing him? He's covering his ass. Boys always do." "I'm not covering anything," he said. "I'll take a paternity test the second the baby's born. Until then, don't sign anything." Both families met at a Starbucks. The girl's parents were nice, overwhelmed, but nice. The girl sat there rubbing her belly. She looked young, too young. My wife started talking about funding, co-parenting solutions. Our son interrupted. "I'm not the father. We never had sex. I'm sorry, but that's the truth." The girl looked at him. "We did it in your basement, that day your parents went out." He shook his head. "That was something else, you know that." She started crying. Her parents looked at us like we were monsters. My wife grabbed my arm under the table. "Do something," she whispered. "I didn't. I just said, we'll get a paternity test when the baby's born. That's fair to everyone." The girl's father stood up. "Fine, but if it's his, we expect full support." We left. My wife didn't talk to me for 3 days. She said I was part of boy culture, that I was enabling him. I said I was being fair. Our son stayed in his room. I could hear him on the phone late at night whispering. A week later, I came home early from work, found him on the couch with a boy from his school. They were holding hands. They jumped apart when I walked in. "Dad, this is Mark, my boyfriend." I sat down. "Okay, tell me everything." He came out to me, said he'd known since middle school, said the ex-girlfriend was a cover. He cheated on her with Mark, that's why they broke up, that's why they never had sex. I hugged him, told him I loved him, but I also told him he needed to tell his mother. He said he wasn't ready. That night, I told my wife. She didn't take it well, not because he's gay, she's not homophobic, but because she realized she'd been wrong. She'd been attacking me, attacking our son. She'd called him a liar. She'd pushed for him to take responsibility for a baby that wasn't his. She cried for hours. The paternity test came back negative 2 months later. Our son was in the clear. The ex-girlfriend's parents apologized, but the damage was done. My wife still flinches when I bring it up. Our son is now out to both of us. He and Mark are still together. They're careful. I made sure of that, but I'll never forget my wife's face when she realized she'd been wrong, how she looked at me like I'd betrayed her by being right, how she said, "You should have told me sooner." And I said, "I didn't know. Just trusted him." That trust cost us, but it saved my son from a lifetime of responsibility he didn't owe. Here's another one. This is from a while back. I'm a mom, 49. My son was 19 at the time. He lost his father, my husband, to a heart attack 2 years earlier. He took it hard, moved out for a bit, then moved back in. That's when he brought Kaylee home. Kaylee was sweet, 17, no mother in her life. She latched onto me like I was her own mom. I didn't mind. She was good for my son, kept him grounded, made him smile, but she had trust issues. She'd call me asking where he was. I'd say, "He's at Mike's house. They're playing video games." She'd de-relax. I never doubted it. My son always came home. One night, Kaylee called me. Her period was bad. She needed tampons and Tylenol. She lived 10 minutes away. I said I'd drive to the store and drop them off. My son usually got home from work at 6. It was almost 6:30. I texted him, "Hey, Kaylee's on her period, heading out to grab stuff. You okay?" He replied while I was driving. "Yeah, I'm fine. Mike needed help building a shelf, staying later." I sent back, "Okay. Be safe." I got to the drugstore, picked up the stuff, and drove to Kaylee's. She let me in. She was curled up on the couch, puffy-eyed from crying. I thought it was just the cramps. "Can I get you some tea?" I asked. She nodded. I went to the kitchen. That's when I saw it on the counter, a PlayStation controller, black with a red custom grip, my son's controller. He'd bought it special. I stared at it, then I looked at Kaylee. "When did he drop this off?" She frowned. "He didn't. He came by earlier, said he was leaving it for Mike, but Mike's not here." My stomach dropped. "Mike doesn't live here." "I know. He said he was bringing it for Mike because Mike left it at your house." "But Mike hasn't been here." Something clicked. I picked up the controller. "He told me he was at Mike's house. He said he was helping with a shelf." Kaylee's face went white. "He's not at Mike's. Mike's at his girlfriend's tonight." I called my son. No answer. I called again. Voicemail. I texted, "Where are you?" No reply. I sat down next to Kaylee. We waited. An hour later, my son walked in the front door. He froze when he saw me sitting on the couch holding his controller. What are you doing here? Where were you? Mike's, I told you. I held up the controller. This is yours. Kaylee said you dropped it off earlier, but Mike's not here. He's at his girlfriend's. My son's face crumpled. He started stammering. I was with someone else. It was stupid. I'm sorry. I asked who. He wouldn't say, but I knew Mike, not the shelf, not the PlayStation. He'd been with Mike, the guy from down the street, the one he'd been hanging out with for months. Kaylee started crying. You were cheating on me with Mike? My son didn't deny it. He just stood there looking at the floor. I made a decision right then. I wasn't going to let him ruin 2 lives. Kaylee deserved better. So I did something I'm not proud of. I told Kaylee everything, every time he'd been at Mike's. Every late night, every lie, I broke them up. She broke up with him the next day. He never knew I was the one who told her. He just thought she found out on her own. He's still angry at her, says she was paranoid, says he never meant to hurt her, but I know the truth, and every time he complains about her, I want to scream, but I don't, I just nod because I'm his mother. And sometimes protecting someone means taking the blame. But Kaylee, she's doing okay. She texts me sometimes, says she's in therapy, says she's learning to trust again. I always tell her she made the right choice, and I hope one day my son learns the same. I was still thinking about that mom and her son when I remembered my own shit show. I'm 17. I work at a coffee shop on Main Street, the one with the drive-thru that's always busy. I don't make much, but it's cash in my pocket and I get free drinks. Not bad for a junior in high school. Last Thursday we were slammed. The afternoon rush was insane. I was on bar making drinks as fast as possible. My coworker, this guy named Jamie, kept elbowing me and pointing at a couple in the corner. Dude, they need a room. This is a coffee shop, not a motel. I glanced over. It was a guy and a girl sitting in the booth by the window. They were all over each other, full-on making out, like hands and hair, legs tangled, the works. I couldn't see their faces at first because they were so into it. But then the girl pulled back for a second to laugh and I got a clear look. It was my girlfriend's sister. Her name is Lauren, she's 24. She's engaged to a guy named Derek. They're supposed to get married in July. I've known her for about a year, ever since my girlfriend Sam introduced us. Lauren is always nice to me. She's the kind of person who remembers your birthday and sends you a text. I never would have expected this. But there she was, making out with some guy who was definitely not Derek. I froze. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to pretend I hadn't seen anything. It wasn't my business. I didn't want to cause drama. But at the same time, I felt sick. Derek is a good guy. He works construction. He's always buying Lauren nice things. They seem happy. And here she was, basically dry humping a stranger in a coffee shop. Jamie noticed my face. You know her? No, I lied. Just surprised, that's all. I went back to work. I kept my head down. After about 20 minutes, they finally left. I let out a breath. I thought the worst was over. But then about 5 minutes later, I was wiping down tables near the window. The coast was clear. I was just trying to get through my shift. Then the door swung open. Lauren walked back in. She looked around, spotted me, and her face went white. She must have forgotten something, her phone, her purse, I don't know, but when she saw me, she knew. She walked straight over. You saw me, she said. It wasn't a question. I didn't see anything, I said. My voice cracked. I'm 17, okay, I'm not good at lying. Yes, you did. I saw you looking. Please, you can't tell anyone, especially not Sam, and definitely not Derek, please. She was grabbing my arm. Her nails were digging in. I pulled away. I don't know what you're talking about. We're not done, she said. We have to talk later tonight. I'll find you. She left. I stood there, heart pounding. I finished my shift on autopilot. When I got home, I checked my phone. Sam had texted me, "What's going on with you and my sister? She's really upset. She said you need to come over." I didn't know what to say. I texted back, "I don't know what you mean. I can't come over. My parents won't let me leave this late." That was true. My parents are strict. I'm not allowed out after 9 on school nights. Sam texted again. She's freaking out. She said she'll drive to your house if you sneak out. Please just meet us. I said no. I said it would be hard. She said please again. I didn't answer. I spent the whole night staring at the ceiling. What was I supposed to do? If I told Sam, I'd be in the middle of a family war. If I told Derek, I'd blow up a wedding. If I kept my mouth shut, I'd be lying to everyone, and Lauren clearly saw me. She knew I knew. She was desperate. The next morning, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Lauren. She must have gotten my number from Sam. The message said, "Meet me at the park behind the school, 4 p.m. alone. If you don't come, I'll tell Sam you tried to kiss me." I couldn't believe it. She was threatening me. I'm 17 and she's 24. She was trying to flip the script. I showed the text to my best friend at school. He said I should go but record everything. I didn't have a good phone for that. I was scared. I went. I didn't tell Sam. I met Lauren at the park. She was sitting on a bench smoking a cigarette. She looked nervous, not angry. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't mean to freak you out. I made a mistake. That guy, he's nothing. He's just a friend. We were drunk. It didn't mean anything." "You were sober," I said. "I saw you. You were in a coffee shop." She started crying. "Please, I love Derek. I love him. This would destroy him. I can't lose him. Will you just keep this secret, please, for Sam? For me, I'll do anything." I didn't know what to do. I said I'd think about it. She hugged me. It felt wrong. I walked away. That night, I told Sam everything. I called her and said, "Your sister is cheating on Derek. I saw her. She threatened me. I'm sorry." Sam was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I knew she was acting weird, but I didn't want to believe it. Are you sure?" "Yes." She started crying too. She said she had to tell Derek. I said I thought she should. That was the right thing. The next day, all hell broke loose. Derek called me. He was furious, but not at me. He said, "Thank you for telling Sam. I would have married her. I would have been stuck with a liar." Lauren found out I told. She showed up at my house. My mom answered the door. Lauren was screaming, "Your son destroyed my life. He's a liar. He made it up." My mom looked at me. I told her the truth. My mom told Lauren to leave. Lauren shoved past her and tried to grab me. She literally tried to jump me. I'm a 17-year-old kid. She's a grown woman. My mom called the police. Lauren ran off. Sam broke down crying on the phone that night. She said her sister was crazy. She said Derek broke off the engagement. She said the wedding was canceled. And she said her parents were blaming me. A month later, I heard through Sam that Lauren had moved out of state. She was living with some guy, the same guy from the coffee shop, probably. Derek started dating someone new. Sam and I are still together, but it's awkward. Every time I see her sister in a photo, I feel sick. I still work at that coffee shop. Sometimes I see couples making out in the corner and I want to tell them to get a room, but I don't. I just make their lattes and pretend I didn't see anything. Because that's what I learned. Sometimes seeing something is worse than not. I never thought I'd be writing this, but here I am. My 16-year-old son got his girlfriend pregnant, or so we thought. The whole thing exploded in a way I never saw coming, and now my wife isn't talking to me, my son won't look me in the eye, and I'm stuck in the middle wondering if I did the right thing. Let me back up. My son, I'll call him James, just turned 16. He's a good kid mostly. He's got a girlfriend, Emma, who's almost 17. They'd been dating for about 8 months. They seemed happy. We had the talk about protection. I made sure he had condoms, told him to be safe, all that. He said he understood. I thought he did. Then about a month ago, they broke up. James said it was mutual, that they wanted different things. I didn't push. He seemed fine. He was hanging out with his friends, playing video games, doing normal teenager stuff. I figured it was just puppy love that ran its course. 3 weeks later, I'm sitting in my living room watching the news when my phone rings. It's Emma's dad. He sounds tense. He says we need to talk. It's about the kids. I knew something was wrong. My wife Sarah was in the kitchen. I called her over and put the call on speaker. Emma's dad said Emma's pregnant. She's about 6 weeks along. The dates line up with when she and James were together. My stomach dropped. Sarah started crying. I went numb. I asked if James knew. He said no. Emma only told them that morning. They wanted us to know before anything else happened. We hung up. Sarah was already planning. She was talking about appointments, funding, maybe an abortion, maybe keeping it. I just sat there. I couldn't process it. James was 16. He was a kid. He was my kid. How did this happen? We waited 2 days to tell him. I wanted to make sure we had our heads straight first. Sarah was already talking about making him get a job, about us helping with the baby, about all the logistics. I just nodded. I didn't know what to say. Finally, we sat James down in the living room. I said, "Son, we have something to tell you. It's about Emma." He looked nervous. "Did she say something? We split up, you know." Sarah said, "Emma is pregnant. She says the baby is yours." James's face went white. Then it turned red. He stood up. "That's not mine. I never fucked her." I was shocked. I knew he was active. He'd asked me for condoms before, but he said it with so much certainty. I said, "Are you sure? Because the dates line up." He said, "Dad, I never had sex with her. We never did it. We did other stuff, but not that. I never went all the way." I asked him why he lied about needing protection. He looked at the floor. "I used them. I did use them, but not with her. I cheated on her." My blood ran cold. "With who?" He wouldn't say. He just kept repeating that he never had sex with Emma, that he was sure. Sarah was losing it. She started yelling at him, calling him a liar, saying he was just trying to get out of responsibility. He yelled back. It was chaos. I separated them. I took James to his room and closed the door. I said, "Look, I believe you, but you have to tell me everything. No more lies." He broke down. He told me he cheated on Emma with a boy, a guy from his soccer team. They'd been hooking up for a few weeks. He said they always used protection. He said he was confused, that he didn't know what he wanted. He said Emma found out about the cheating and that's why they broke up. I didn't know what to think. I was angry, confused, sad all at once, but I believed him. Something in the way he said it felt true. He wasn't trying to weasel out. He was scared. I told Sarah what he said. She didn't believe it. She said, "He's lying to protect himself. He's just saying he's with a boy because he knows you'll go easy on him. You're part of the problem. You're enabling him." I said, "What if he's telling the truth? We can't force him to be the father if he's not." She didn't want to hear it. She was already planning to meet with Emma's family. I agreed to go, but I told her we needed to keep an open mind. The meeting was a disaster, both sets of parents plus the kids in Emma's living room. Sarah started talking immediately, saying we'd figure out support, that James would step up, all that. Emma's parents were grateful. James was sitting there with his arms crossed, looking like he wanted to disappear. When Sarah paused for breath, James spoke up. He said, "It's not my baby. We never had sex. I never touched her like that." Emma's dad looked at him. "Son, that's not what Emma said. She said you were together for months." James said, "We did other stuff, but not that. I was seeing someone else, okay? I cheated on her. We never had intercourse." Then James said something that made the room go silent. He said, "We only ever did oral stuff, that's it, and it wasn't even good, so I stopped trying." I wanted to ground him for life for that comment, but I also knew he was telling the truth. Emma looked at the floor. Her mom asked her if that was true. Emma said, "We did other things, but we never went all the way, not really." Her dad said, "Then how are you pregnant?" Emma started crying. She said she didn't know. She said she didn't think it was possible. Her mom looked at me with this mix of pity and anger. Sarah was staring at James like she wanted to kill him. I said, "Look, I think we need to get a paternity test. It's the only way to know for sure." Sarah exploded. She said I was undermining her, that I was being a tool, that I was just playing into James's boy culture bullshit. She said I was part of the problem. I told her to calm down. She didn't. Emma's dad agreed to a test. We did it the next week. The results came back. James was not the father. I felt relief but also dread, because that meant Emma had been with someone else. She admitted it later. She hooked up with an older guy from a party while she and James were still together. She said she was drunk, that it was a mistake. She didn't know she was pregnant until later. She thought it was James's because of the timeline. The baby wasn't his. The wedding talk died. Both families went our separate ways. Sarah was furious at me for months. She said I'd ruined her relationship with Emma's mom. She said I'd made her look like a fool. She said James needed to be punished for cheating anyway. I told her James was already dealing with his own stuff. He came out to me a few weeks later, told me he was gay, that he'd known for a while but was scared. I hugged him. I told him I loved him no matter what. He cried. He said he was sorry for lying. Sarah didn't take it well. She's got some old school views. She told James he was confused, that he just needed to be with a girl. I had to step in. I said, leave him alone. He's your son. Support him. She said I was turning him gay. I said that's not how it works. We had a huge fight. She sleeps in the guest room now. James is staying with my sister for a while. He says he can't handle being around his mom right now. And me, I'm here stuck between them. I don't know what happens next. But I do know one thing, never doubt your kid until you have proof. Sarah is still mad, but I'd rather be wrong about supporting my son than wrong about forcing him to be a father he wasn't ready to be. I'm a 49-year-old mother. I never thought I'd be the kind of person who breaks up their own son's relationship. But here I am, and I don't even know if I did the right thing. My son, let's call him Derek, was 19. His dad passed away about 2 years ago, and Derek took it hard. He moved out pretty soon after the funeral, said he needed to find himself, to not waste his life being depressed. I understood. I gave him space. We talked every day. He visited all the time. It seemed like he was handling it. After about a year of living alone, he moved back in with me, said he missed home, missed having someone to cook for him. I was happy. Around that time, he introduced me to Kaylee. She was a sweet girl, a bit younger than him, maybe 18. They'd been dating for almost a year. Me and Kaylee hit it off immediately. She didn't have a mom in her life, and I think she saw me as that figure. She'd come over for dinner, we'd watch movies, she'd ask me for advice. I liked her, but I noticed something off early on. She was paranoid, not in a toxic way, just anxious. She'd ask me where Derek was going after work. I'd say, he went to his friend Mike's house, they play PlayStation together. She'd text him constantly, he'd always answer. I thought she was just insecure because of her own family stuff. I didn't think much of it. Then one night everything changed. It was around 6 in the evening. Derek had gone off work at 4 and he was supposed to come home to pick up his PS4 to take to Mike's, but he didn't show. Kaylee called me, said she was on her period and needed tampons and Tylenol. She lived close and her periods were brutal, so I said I'd go. I texted Derek before I left. Hey, Kaylee's on her period, I'm heading out to grab supplies, you okay? He answered while I was driving. I checked it at the store, he said, yeah, I'm fine. Mike needed help building a shelf, so I'm staying a little later. I sent back an okay, be safe, all that mom stuff. I grabbed the stuff and drove to Kaylee's. On the way I passed by Mike's house. It was on the same street. I saw Derek's car in the driveway. That was normal, but then I noticed something. The lights were off in Mike's house, not a single light on. It was dusk, almost dark. Why would they be building a shelf in the dark? I shrugged it off. Maybe they were in the back. I dropped off the stuff to Kaylee, stayed for a bit. She asked where Derek was. I said Mike's. She looked uneasy but didn't push. The next week, I couldn't shake that feeling. I started paying attention. Every time Derek said he was at Mike's, I'd check, I'd drive by. The lights were always off. His car was there, but no sign of life. I started to wonder if Mike even lived there anymore. I didn't know. Then one night, Derek said he was going to Mike's to grab something. He left at 9. I waited an hour, then I got in my car and drove over. The house was dark again. But this time I saw movement, a silhouette in the window, then another. They were together, but why the dark? I sat there for 10 minutes, then the front door opened. Derek came out, followed by a guy I assumed was Mike. They kissed, full-on lips, tongues. I froze. My son was kissing a guy in the dark at Mike's house. I drove home in a fog. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't mad he was gay. I was mad he was lying. He had a girlfriend who trusted him, who loved him, and he was sneaking around with his friend in a dark house. I confronted him the next morning. I said, I saw you last night. At Mike's, I saw you kiss him. He turned white, then red. He started crying. He said it had been going on for months, that Mike was his boyfriend, that he didn't know how to tell Kaylee, that he was scared. I said, you need to tell her, she deserves the truth. He begged me not to, said he'd do it, just give him time. I said, how much time? She's already paranoid. She's going to find out eventually. He said, Mom, please, I'll tell her, I promise. I waited a week. I saw him go to Mike's almost every night. He kept lying to Kaylee. I couldn't take it. I called Kaylee and asked her to come over. I told her everything, where Derek was really going, what I saw, the kiss, the dark house. She broke down, she screamed. She called Derek and told him it was over. He came home furious. He said I ruined his life. He said he would have told her eventually. I said, you had months, you didn't. He moved out that weekend, went to Mike's. They're still together as far as I know. Kaylee won't talk to me. She said I betrayed her trust by telling her. She said I should have let Derek do it. Maybe she's right, but he never would have. He was too scared, and she deserved to know. I don't regret telling her, but I do regret losing my son. He barely talks to me now. He says I'm controlling, that I don't respect his privacy. I just wanted him to be honest. I still love him. I hope one day he understands. But right now I'm the villain in his story, and maybe I deserve that. That story from the mom about Derek and Kaylee hit me hard. I sat there reading it, feeling for everyone involved. But then I scrolled further and found another post that really messed me up. This one was from a 17-year-old kid who worked at a coffee shop. He saw something he shouldn't have, and it blew up his whole world. I never thought my part-time job at a local coffee shop would put me in the middle of a family drama. But here we are. I'm 17, a junior in high school. I work at a busy cafe near downtown. It's not glamorous. I make lattes, wipe counters, deal with rude customers, but it pays for gas and gives me something to do after school. I've been dating my girlfriend Jen for about 8 months. She's great, sweet, funny, always makes me laugh. Her family is close-knit. She has an older sister, Sam, who is 24. Sam is engaged to a guy named Mark. They've been together for 3 years, engaged for 1. The wedding was planned for July. I'd met Sam a few times at family dinners. She seemed nice, a little intense, but fine. Mark seemed like a solid guy. They looked happy. Then one Saturday afternoon in May, everything changed. It was a typical shift, busy, understaffed, line out the door. I was on the espresso machine, cranking out drinks. My coworker, let's call him Dave, was on register. He nudged me and nodded toward a couple in the corner booth. Dude, check those two out. They need a room. This is a coffee shop. I glanced over. A guy and a girl were full on making out, not just a peck. I'm talking hands and hair, lips locked, heavy breathing. I couldn't see their faces clearly at first, but then the girl shifted and I recognized her. It was Sam, Jen's sister, the one getting married in 2 months. My stomach dropped. I turned back to the machine, pretending I didn't see anything, but I kept sneaking glances. She was with a guy who definitely was Mark. He was taller, darker hair, maybe a few years older than her. They were all over each other. I felt sick. I stayed behind the counter the whole time. They didn't see me. After about 20 minutes they left. I exhaled. I thought I was safe. I went out to bus some tables, hoping the coast was clear. I grabbed a rag and started wiping down the booth they'd been at. I was shaking a little. I didn't know what to do. Should I tell Jen? Should I stay out of it? Then I heard the door swing open. I looked up. Sam was standing there, staring right at me. She had come back in, maybe for the restroom, maybe she forgot something. I don't know. But she saw me, and her face went from confused to terrified to angry in about 2 seconds. She walked over, grabbed my arm, and hissed, "You saw nothing, you understand me, nothing." I said, "I didn't see anything, I swear." She didn't believe me. She said, "We need to talk, meet me outside in 5 minutes." I said, "I'm working, I can't." She said, "We're not done." Then she left. I finished my shift in a fog. When I got home, I had a text from Jen. "What's going on with you and my sister? She's really upset. She said you need to come over." I panicked. I texted back, "I don't know what she's talking about." Jen replied, "She said you saw something, please just tell me." I said I couldn't come over because my parents wouldn't let me leave at that hour. It was true, I had a curfew on weekends, 10 o'clock. It was already 9:30. Jen texted, she said she'll drive to your house. "We can meet you outside, please." I said, "That would be hard, my parents would see." She wrote back, "Please, she's freaking out, just sneak out for 5 minutes." I didn't know what to do. I was 17, scared and caught in the middle of something huge. I told Jen I couldn't sneak out. She got mad. She said I was being difficult. I said I needed time to think. I lay in bed that night staring at the ceiling. I thought about Mark. He was a good guy. He worked construction, always brought flowers to Sam at family dinners. He didn't deserve that, but if I told I'd lose Jen, she'd take her sister's side. I knew it. The next morning Jen called me. She was crying. She said Sam had told her everything, that I saw her with another guy, that I was threatening to tell Mark. I said I never threatened anyone. I didn't say anything. Jen said she said you gave her a look, that you were going to blackmail her. I said that's insane. I would never do that. Jen didn't believe me. She said, "You need to promise me you won't say anything to Mark. This is family stuff. We'll handle it." I said, "Fine, I won't say anything." But I couldn't shake the guilt. Mark came by the coffee shop a few days later. He was picking up an order for Sam. He asked how I was doing. He said Sam was planning the wedding and stressed. He said he couldn't wait to marry her. I wanted to throw up. I lasted another week, then I couldn't take it anymore. I called Mark and told him to meet me at a park near my house. He showed up confused. I told him everything. The coffee shop, the guy, the makeout session, the begging, the lies. He went quiet. Then he said, "Are you sure it was her?" I said, 100%. I've known her for months. It was Sam. He thanked me and left. I felt like I'd done the right thing, but I also knew I'd just torched my relationship with Jen. Jen called me that night screaming. Sam had called Mark crying, said I was lying, that I was trying to break them up. Jen said, "How could you do this? You've ruined everything." Sam said she's going to call off the wedding because of the drama. I said, "She was cheating. I saw it." Jen said, "You don't know that. Maybe it was a friend. Maybe you misread it." I said, "They were kissing full on. It wasn't a hug." She hung up on me. The next day, Sam called me. She was crying too. She said, "I told Mark it was a misunderstanding, but he doesn't believe me. He wants to postpone the wedding. You've destroyed my life." I said, "You destroyed it yourself. You're the one who cheated." She said, "You're just a kid. You don't understand." She was right in a way. I didn't understand how someone could do that to someone they claimed to love. The wedding was called off. Mark broke up with her. She moved out of their apartment. A few weeks later, I heard she moved to another state to live with her mom. Jen stopped talking to me. She said I had no right to interfere. She said family business stays family. We broke up a month later. She said she couldn't be with someone who would hurt her sister like that. I said I couldn't be with someone who would cover up cheating. I still think about it sometimes. I wonder if I should have stayed quiet. Maybe Sam would have ended it with that guy on her own. Maybe Mark never would have found out. But every time I see a happy couple, I think about the one that was built on a lie. And I know I did the right thing. I'm 18 now. I still work at the coffee shop. Mark came in a few months ago. He thanked me again. He said he'd found someone new, someone honest. He said I saved him from a marriage that would have ended in divorce. That made it worth it, even if Jen never speaks to me again. The whole thing blew up in ways I never expected. I spent weeks replaying that moment in the coffee shop, wondering if I could have just kept my mouth shut and let Sam deal with her own mess. But that guilt was eating me alive. Mark was a good dude. He didn't deserve to walk down the aisle with someone who was already checked out. I'm 18 now. Mark came by the shop a few months back with a new girl. He introduced me. He looked happy. He said I saved him from a nightmare marriage that would have ended in divorce papers and a lot of wasted years. That made it sting a little less. Jen still won't talk to me. She blocked me on everything. Sometimes I see her around town and she looks right through me. It hurts. But I think I'd rather be the guy who told the truth than the guy who let someone get married under false pretenses. That whole situation with Sam and Mark made me think about loyalty and family and what you owe to people. It made me think about my own parents and how they handled things. My mom and dad have been married for 26 years. They're solid. But there was this one time a few years back when I thought I was going to watch them tear each other apart. It started with a phone call. I was 16 at the time. My older brother Tyler had just turned 16 too. He and his girlfriend Ashley had been together for almost a year. Ashley was 17, almost 18. They seemed like a cute couple. She came over for dinner. She laughed at my dad's bad jokes. My mom loved her. Then one night in August, my mom got a call from Ashley's mom. I was in my room playing video games, but the walls in our house are thin. I heard my mom's voice go from polite to panicked in about 10 seconds. What do you mean she's pregnant? I paused my game. I crept to my door and cracked it open. My mom was standing in the kitchen, phone pressed to her ear, her face pale. My dad came in from the garage, wiping grease off his hands. What's going on? He asked. My mom held up a hand. She listened for another minute, then said, okay, we'll talk to him. I'll call you back. She hung up. She looked at my dad and said, Ashley is pregnant, about 8 weeks along. She says it's Tyler's. My dad sat down at the kitchen table. He rubbed his face. Shit. They called Tyler downstairs. He came in looking confused. My mom sat him down and told him. I watched from the hallway, holding my breath. Tyler's face went blank. Then he said, it's not mine. We never did it. My mom blinked. What do you mean you never did it? You told me you asked for protection. I gave you condoms. I never used them with her, Tyler said. We never had sex. I cheated on her with someone else. My dad stood up. You what? Tyler looked at the floor. I'm sorry, I've been with someone else, a guy. His name is Derek. We've been together for like 4 months. Ashley and I never did anything, I swear. The room went silent. My mom looked like she'd been slapped. My dad just stared at Tyler like he was seeing him for the first time. You're gay, my mom said quietly. No, Tyler said. I'm bi, but yeah, I like guys too. And Derek is my boyfriend. I've been going over to his house after work. That's where I've been. My mom started crying, not angry tears, just sad, confused tears. She said, why didn't you tell us? Tyler said, I was scared. I didn't know how you'd react. My dad sat back down. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, okay, we'll deal with that later. Right now, we need to figure out the baby situation. My mom called Ashley's mom back. She explained that Tyler said the baby wasn't his. Ashley's mom got defensive. She said Ashley was sure. She said the dates lined up. She said Tyler was lying to get out of responsibility. A few days later, both families met at a diner. It was awkward. Ashley was there. She looked tired. She was showing a little bit. She kept her hand on her belly. Her dad was a big guy built like a truck driver. He stared at Tyler the whole time. My mom started the conversation. She said, we're willing to help. We'll figure out child support, visitation, whatever. But Tyler says the baby isn't his. Ashley's mom snapped. He's lying. She told me everything. They did it in his car 3 months ago. Tyler shook his head. We never did that. We did other stuff, but never sex. I always stopped. Ashley started crying. She said, you're a liar. You're just trying to get out of it. Tyler looked at her and said, I'm sorry, Ashley, but it's not mine. I never touched you like that. The meeting ended with no resolution. My mom was furious at Tyler. She said he was a liar and a cheater and that he was ruining his life. My dad believed him. He said Tyler had never lied about something this big before. Weeks went by. The tension at home was unbearable. My mom and dad fought constantly. She said he was enabling Tyler. He said she was refusing to see the truth. Then one night my mom came home from the grocery store looking shaken. She sat down at the table. She said, I saw Ashley at the store. She was with some guy. They were kissing. He didn't look like Tyler. My dad said, maybe she moved on. My mom said, no, I mean they were full on making out and the guy was tall, blonde, nothing like Tyler. She saw me and looked terrified. The next day my mom called Ashley's mom again. She asked if Ashley had a new boyfriend. Ashley's mom got defensive, said no, that Ashley was still grieving the breakup. My mom said, I saw her kissing a tall blonde man at the grocery store. Ashley's mom went quiet. Then she said, I'll call you back. She called back an hour later. She was crying. She said Ashley had confessed. The baby wasn't Tyler's, it was some guy she met at a party. She'd been scared to tell anyone. She blamed Tyler because she knew he'd been cheating on her with a guy and thought he'd just accept it. My mom sat down on the couch. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then she looked at my dad and said, "I owe Tyler an apology." They had a long talk that night. My mom apologized. Tyler forgave her. My dad was quiet, but he hugged Tyler and said he was proud of him for telling the truth. Ashley's family moved away a few months later. I don't know what happened to her or the baby, but that whole mess taught me something. Sometimes the person you think is lying is the only one telling the truth, and sometimes family loyalty means getting your hands dirty. I'm 49 years old and I broke up my son and his girlfriend. He still doesn't know it was me. It started about 2 years ago. My son was 19 when his dad died. He took it harder than I thought. He moved out pretty soon after the funeral, said he needed to expand on life, that he was scared he'd waste it being depressed. I understood. I gave him space. We talked every day. He visited all the time. After a few months, he moved back in with me. I was happy to have him home. That's when he introduced me to Kaylee. She was sweet. She didn't have a mom in her life and she latched onto me fast. I didn't mind. She'd come over for dinner, help me cook, ask me for advice. But I noticed right away she was paranoid. She had major trust issues. She'd text me while my son was at work, asking if I knew where he was. I'd say he went to his friend Mike's house. They're playing PlayStation. She'd calm down. We both believed that. I had no reason to think otherwise. One night, about a year into their relationship, Kaylee texted me asking if I could pick up tampons and Tylenol for her. Her periods were brutal and I'd done it before. My son got off work at 4, usually home by 5:30. It was 6 and he hadn't shown up to drop off his PS4 like he said he would. I shot him a quick text before I left. "Hey, Kaylee's on her period, heading out for supplies. You okay?" He answered while I was driving. I checked it at the store. "Yeah, I'm fine. Mike needed help building a shelf, staying later." I sent back an "okay mom" text. I grabbed the stuff, drove to Kaylee's, dropped it off. She was curled up on the couch looking miserable. I sat with her.